These are the new Sony XM6s. They've returned to a foldable design, better active noise cancellation due to new hardware, improved sound quality, some remade buttons, but come at a price very close to AirPods Max. So, are they worth it? First, let's talk about the hardware. I recently reviewed the XM5s and had some thoughts. I'll link that video above, but I do think there are significant improvements in the new XM6 generation. First up, the case now has a magnetic clasp on the side, which is really nice. And again, you get a full case with the XM6s, unlike the you-know-what you get with AirPods Max. And as you can see, Sony has gone back to a foldable design, which makes the whole carrying case and the headphones more compact. You also get a USB-C to USB-A cord, not sure why they did that, and a headphone cable, so you can connect directly to an audio source if you want. One little quirk about the case and the folding design, you have to make sure you're folding it the right way. You might intuitively think you're putting them in the right way, but it's not going to fit or close over this band. You do have to match the left and right ear cups with the L and R on the case. So even though they do fold both ways, you have to make sure you fold it the right way when you're putting it into Sony's case. It comes in 3 colors, the sand, the dark blue, and the black. And like last time with the XM5s, Sony definitely wins on the weight. These are much lighter than the AirPods Max and pretty comfortable to wear for long periods. Cushion headband and extendable side rails, although these are plastic unlike the metals on the AirPods Max. Still no easily removable ear cups on the XM6s, and it still has the silicone type material on the ear cups, which we'll talk about comfort in a second. There has been some redesign of the buttons. You'll see the power button has been redesigned to this larger circle, and then the ANC transparency button is right here. I really like this change because it's very easy to feel which is the power button and which is noise canceling. You have the headphone jack here and the USB-C port for charging it here. There are still the touch controls like the XM5, so you can swipe up to raise the volume, swipe down to lower, and single, double, and triple taps all do different things, which you can program in the app. We'll talk about the app more when we get to some new modes like Cafe and Cinema, but just so you know, you can connect 2 devices simultaneously, so you can have the XM6s connected to your iPhone and your Mac at the same time. And if you scroll all the way down to the device settings, then go over to System. Here's where you can see the quick actions for double and triple taps, and you can tap the gear icon and program this to something different if you would like. Now let's go great to sound quality, because the moment I put these on, they definitely sound better than the Sony XM5s. I preferred how the bass sounded with the XM6 out of the box. I thought there was better clarity, better balance overall from all music types from classical to pop. And as with every headphone review I do, I made an Apple Music playlist with all the songs I used to test both, so link to this is down in the video description as well. Overall, I found the sound quality very close to the AirPods Max. Honestly, being able to adjust the EQ on the Sonys, I can get it pretty much even. I would say I enjoy listening to the songs pretty equally between the Sony and the AirPods, although I did find myself raising the bass just a little bit, but you can do in the Sony app. If you go to a manual equalizer, you can actually have multiple equalizer presets, but this is my manual setting. Turned up the bass, and this was just slightly adjusted from one of the presets that Sony already had. But with this EQ, it was basically on par with the AirPods Max. I really enjoyed how they sounded, and I don't think you would be giving anything up sound quality wise going to the XM6s versus the AirPods Max. But active noise canceling and transparency, that's another story. We'll get to that in a moment. Another word on comfort, because these are lighter and has the soft padding on the headband, I can wear these for a longer time than the AirPods Max before I feel discomfort. Now, also because it's plastic rods and not that stainless steel, it goes around my head, and again, very comfortable. Now, being here in Florida, and it's been very hot the last week, if you are outside or sweating, I do find these ear cups getting uncomfortable because of that moisture, which I don't experience as much when I wear AirPods Max. But like I mentioned before, the clamping strength of the AirPods Max is pretty strong, but as a commenter pointed out, yes, my head is rather large, and so the clamping strength is probably exaggerated for me. You might not experience that, but if you have a similar head size to me, I do find the XM6s are more comfortable for that clamping strength. If you already have XM4s or 5s and wondering what these feel like, it's pretty much the same. About just as light, same ear cup material, maybe the headband is just a tad more comfortable. Now, where these two headphones, the AirPods Max and Sony XM6s, start to differ is the noise canceling and transparency modes. Now, Sony claims thanks to its noise canceling QN3 processor and 12 microphones built in, which AirPods Max has 9 microphones in case you were wondering, noise canceling is faster and more reliable with the XM6s. And honestly, yes, I find the XM6's noise canceling to be better than the 5s and the 4s before it. I took it to a mall, busy environment, lots of noise, and sat outside by the pool where the filter was going and kids were playing, and noise canceling on the XM6s is very, very good. Definitely better than the XM5s. But still not as good as the AirPods Max in my opinion. Even while I was testing at the mall, I listened to the XM6s for an extended period of time, and then just popped in my AirPods Pro. And while it's not a one-to-one comparison because AirPods Pro is going to have better isolation than the XM6s, the noise canceling was better with my AirPods Pro, which are significantly cheaper. But don't get me wrong, the noise canceling is very good and improved over the last generation, as is transparency mode. Again, at the mall and in other places, when you turn off noise canceling and go into transparency, which Sony actually calls ambient sound, it is more natural sounding than the XM5s before it. But in a similar vein, still doesn't beat transparency mode on the AirPods Max or AirPods Pro. When I put transparency on for these, it sounds like there's nothing on top of my ear. Somehow, all the sound from the outside world comes directly into my ear, and it sounds super natural. The XM6s, it sounds good. It still feels like it's being processed through a bunch of microphones and headphones, which frankly it is. But if you want the most natural sounding transparency, I still think AirPods win that out. And real quick, let's do a microphone test. A lot of people ask in comments how the microphones sound compared to AirPods Max. Here's a quick recording of the Sony XM6 microphones being recorded directly to my Mac. Obviously on a phone call, it won't sound this good, but this is what the built-in microphones sound like. And now this is a test of the AirPods Max 2 or USB-C version microphones. And even as I put these on right now in transparency mode, it's wild how just clear it is and it doesn't feel like I'm wearing headphones. But anyway, this is what the microphone sounds like on the AirPods Max versus the XM6. Now, before we get to the final comparison and pricing on these two headphones, which has changed recently, there are two modes in the Sony app called Background Music and Cinema. You can actually jump in and read what each one does. Of course, Cinema, if you were watching something with Dolby Atmos, you can use the Sony XM6s and get that effect. But the background music one is basically supposed to mimic if you were hearing cafe music with the world around you. So go into transparency mode, enable that. With music, it's an interesting effect. It's like it's adding reverb and delay to the music to make it sound like it's farther away. Definitely don't use it with podcast because I tried that and it sounds super weird. Let me give you a listen. So here's just normal mode. Imagine a hardware device of some kind. In background music mode, $6.5 million, found out was going to be part of the design for software and hardware. Definitely not made for spoken word. Frankly, I didn't find myself wanting to use those modes. I would either be in noise canceling or transparency when listening with these, but you can play around with it, and if you're going to be watching movies, then yeah, try the cinema mode. So if you're in the market for over-the-ear headphones, which should you be considering, AirPods Max or the new XM6s? Interestingly, the choice doesn't come down to cost because the Sony XM6s right now are about $450. And while AirPods Max are typically $550 and directly from Apple at that price, right now it's $480. So it's only a $30 difference between these two headphones, the AirPods Max and XM6s. Now, if you wear over-the-ear headphones for an extended period of time, like your entire workday, I would go with the Sony XM6s. That lighter weight, and if you're in an air-conditioned environment like an office, the sweating and moisture shouldn't be a problem. This is going to be way more comfortable to wear for that long. You can wear the AirPods Max that long, and maybe with a smaller head, you won't feel that clamping strength as much, but for longevity, I like the Sony XM6s. Sound quality, I think it's very even. I don't think you need to choose one over the other based on that, but if noise canceling and transparency is your priority, the AirPods Maxes take that. It's best at noise canceling, really great transparency mode. Again, the XM6s are very good, so don't feel like you're getting bad noise canceling. It'll work great on planes and in cafes and at the mall. I just think the AirPods Max edges it out a little bit there. And the final question is ecosystem. If you're like me and you have all Apple devices, AirPods Max still offer that seamless switching. You pair with one device, it's connected to all your devices. I do use these with my Apple TV when I'm watching at night if everybody's asleep, and taking these out and connecting the Apple TV to these is much easier than doing it with this. You can connect these via Bluetooth to your Apple TV and that works, but it's just a way faster experience with the AirPods Max. But a couple other considerations. While the sound quality is a little lower and that noise canceling not as good, the XM5s are now on good sales for $300, so that'll save you over $150 if you want to go with that. And ironically, AirPods Pro 2 are not on one of the crazy sales you see pretty often. They're about $240 right now, but I've seen these go as low as like $180 and lower. So you can follow me on social media. My links are down in the description. Whenever I see these on a great sale, I'll post that link because this value is still amazing for the sound quality, noise canceling, and of course portability. You can't beat AirPods Pro. But overall, Sony definitely improved their over-the-ear headphones with the XM6, better sound quality, better noise canceling, still comfortable and light, and thankfully they went back to that foldable design. I like the sand color too. But if you're interested in any of these headphones, affiliate links are down in the video description to the Sonys, the AirPods, and all of that. If you want to see my comparison to the XM5s and AirPods Max, I'll put that video right up here. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet and hit that like button. I do lots of headphone and audio reviews, some pretty interesting audio review products soon. That's all I'll say for now. Get subscribed, you'll see it. And I'll put another video that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy right up here. If you have any questions, be sure to leave those comments below. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.